If you've played golf long enough, you will have heard that the mental game is a certain percentage of the game. I hate this phrase because it's 100% mechanical and it's 100% mental. Now, the mental game is often dismissed as being about positivity and resilience. That's only two very tiny fractional parts of the mental game. I'm going to run you through 25 of the hottest mental game tips that you can use to lower your score immediately without the hoo-ha woo-woo of positive thinking and high expectations. The first thing you need to play a golf hole or a round of golf is a plan. And the plan starts in your mind. You have to be able to think it through. And on this hole, we have a plan to hit a 200-yard tee shot and a 150-yard shot into the green. When you have a plan, you can gather feedback and adapt your plan. You can see whether it worked or not. Did you execute it? Should you change your plan in the future? When you have feedback from a plan, you can improve. No plan, no feedback, no improvement. When you play hit and hope golf, just smashing it everywhere because you can't engage your brain, that's when your scores stay very high. I believe I can fly. You'll find talk about a pre-shot routine and how important it is to your game. And that's part of the mental game, because inside this area around your golf ball, you have to be so inside your shot and the process that you've created for pre-shot that you don't hear other things, you don't get distracted, you don't find things to blame your bad shot on. Because your process is so strong in your mind, especially because of your pre-shot routine, visualizing, understanding the lie, looking at the way the ball's going to land, how you're going to hit it, selecting your club, commitment. All of these things are in the pre-shot routine that happen in your mind. The execution of the shot is done with a 3-second swing, but everything up to that will be in your head. And then once you get to the ball, there's no thoughts, only a thought of your target. And the pre-shot routine doesn't just happen at the ball. It happens as you're walking up to your ball. 10, 20 yards before your ball, you're already assessing the lie. You're looking at the lay of the land. You're looking at the wind, which direction it's coming. You're thinking about the shot. So now you're already engaged. When you get to the ball, now you have a thinking box. And there's a box behind your ball, imaginary. And from here, this is where you make all your decisions. You're just thinking about your shot. Everything that goes into your shot happens here. Once you cross this line between your think box and your play box, the decision line, you get to your ball and nothing that happened in the think box stays in your head. It all leaves, you've done all your calculations, and then you hit your shot focusing only on the target. So in the shot, you're thinking only of the target. And that pre-shot routine, it can be 5 seconds, it can be 2 seconds, it can be 15 seconds while other people are playing. Now, that's a terrible shot because I'm not warm at all, but it turned out okay. And from here, we have a post-shot routine. And that is not what people don't tell you about. From here, what do we do now after a good or bad shot? Post-shot routine, number one is that I hit that shitty shot. I must stand here and actually imagine the shot I had envisioned before. That way, I imprint a good shot over the bad shot I just saw in my mind. So you're tricking your mind into seeing more good shots after a round than bad shots, because your good shots that you hit, you're going to only use that memory. So by the end of the round, you might have 50 bad shots, and after replaying them, plus your real good shots, you might have 75 good shots in your brain. Then, from that point on, for the next 10 yards, vent, be annoyed, assess, get the feedback, what did you do? And then from 10 yards on, you're out of the shot. Now you're on a mental vacation. Who cares? Visualization is one of the most important skills for golf. We have to attempt to see a shot in our mind and then match up a shot that we have in our arsenal that matches that ball flight. It can be a long shot like a tee shot, a approach shot, a pitch shot, a chip shot, or a putt. You have to really see it. You have to feel it. And then once you get the visual in your mind, however you do it, I like to do it as if I'm a third-party bystander with no golfer, and I just see the ball flying a certain height, landing and rolling out right to left here. How do I match that up? So I think I'm going to do a toe down 52 degree and try hit that shot. That's what I'm matching up. So I have to see and feel the shot the way I can and most appropriate for me, and then take the club that matches that and the shot I have, and let's see if I can execute. A little bit higher than I thought, but look at that rolling out, nearly in the cup. And all because you visualize. Now what we do with the visualization, as with all plans, we get the feedback and we adapt. So now when I hit that toe down 52, I realize it actually goes maybe about as high as the flag. So I adjust my visualization based on the feedback I receive. Conscious golf. They say practice makes perfect, but if you're not consciously practicing and consciously taking what you're practicing to the course, you don't really transfer from the range or from the sim to the golf course, if you've ever noticed. And one of the secrets I found to do that is to work on that process. The pre-shot routine, do it at the range, do it at the sim, and then by bringing that process to the course, you bring something you can perfect. The shot results are going to differ because you're hitting into a 12-foot screen. You're not hitting to targets on the range unless you're doing conscious practice. Like on the range, you're taking your target into account, you're doing your pre-shot routine. Wow, now you have something you're building up a foundation. And if you're working on a sim in the winter or you're hitting in a bay, I would suggest putting up an X or something on your screen that you hit into for the best place for the sensor to pick it up, right? So if you can put an X or a bullseye or something visual on your hitting screen that you hit into, you're going to start seeing that on the golf course 12, 13 feet in front of you, just like you are at your sim. I found this to be hugely helpful when I used to hit a lot of balls at the pro shop, when I used to go there just to hit balls for the sake of finding new equipment. And then when I get to the golf course, I imagined an X 12 feet, 13 feet in front of me that I'm going to hit through as if I'm in the sim. And then slowly you'll start to realize that that intermediate target is very valuable to hit into so that you can execute shots on the golf course as if you are in your sim. Look at that. I just tried to get it through my X. I did it with a little fader. Bam. Try to be conscious of what you're practicing and practice the right thing that you're going to bring to the course to help you in the holistic way, not just how to hit a golf ball, how to set up, how to think, how to aim, how to get in the shot. Once you're in that process, you can't blame anyone else. You take full responsibility for the shots, and that is power. One-way ticket to being blocked on my channel from ever commenting again is to exhibit victim mentality. This is something I really hate, and I had to grow out of as somebody who grew up broke, somebody who grew up without the opportunities everybody else had, where everybody seemed to be doing better than me. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, it's easy for you to say because you've got money. It's easy for you to say because you're a scratch golfer. Well, a 25 handicapper doesn't have a shot they can hit 9 out of 10 times. This is all victim mentality. What I like to encourage and what I changed in my entire life was to start seeing any challenge as an opportunity to figure out a solution. Golf is a never-ending problem-solving equation. I solve the problem from the tee. How do I get it in play? I use a 12, 13-foot X or bullseye in front of me to hit through to get to my place. Now from here, I have to solve the problem of getting on the green. Once I solve this problem, there's a myriad of problems waiting after this one. That's the part you have to get rid of completely, of the victim mentality. You can become any kind of golfer you want. It just takes a mental shift from being a victim to being someone who sees opportunity. A closed mind finds problems everywhere. An open mind will find solutions to the problems. When you find yourself with a problem, ask yourself, why is it happening? And then go deeper. Why? And then at the end, when you can't get any more whys, you say how. And that's how to fix it. So if you're a 25 handicapper, for example, and you think nothing applies to you, that's fine. You can continue walking in that direction and stay a 25 handicap for life. But if you take on some good ideas when you're 25 handicap and start to think, how can I adapt them to myself to make them work for me? Now you're going to start seeing your scores come down and your enjoyment go up. But walking around with that victim mentality puts a negative tint onto everything you do. Your mind is going to gear you toward either doing something good or something bad, depending on the perspective. So change that perspective from victim to victor, and let's see what happens. A quick way to know if your mental game is completely out of order is if you like to say, the problem with that is, the issue with that is, I cannot stand this type of behavior. When I run my business and somebody comes to me, oh, the problem is, the issue is, no. Tell me what it is that you identified and then the solution you created for it. Now what? I must take on the problem? No. The problem is you. The problem is you're looking at the problem and not the solution. When you see the problem only, you obsess over it and it grows. When you start looking at solutions to attack it, that problem disappears. And then you go, oh, fuck me. How easy was it to fix the problem instead of focusing on the problem. That's how you know if you have a mental imbalance toward improvement. If you want to improve, you find solutions and you don't say, the problem with that is, the issue with that is. I believe I can fly. These carry these greens no good now. Rancho very good. I believe I can fly. Listen, fat shamers, you have to let go of perfection. When you think everything has to be perfect and that you're going to hit a perfect shot that's going to land nicely every time, you will drive yourself completely cuckoo. The way I know this is that I quit golf on 3 occasions in my life because my mental game was so because I had been bred to understand perfection. In academics, in sports, it's always perfection. If I didn't get an A+ in my exams, I was not good enough. But you know what? I let it all go. I let it all go because perfection is unattainable. Thank you, Roy McAvoy. Perfection is unattainable. When you hit a shot, the only perfection you can do is in your planning and your process. Once the ball leaves your club face, there's nothing you can do, and you have to take full acceptance of every result. When you have full acceptance, it allows you to move on. You get your 10 yards to accept what happened, vent, and then once you go on past your 10 yards and you move toward the next ball, you go on mental vacation, not thinking about anything, and then focus on the next shot when you get to it. In between shots, when you're thinking of how imperfect your shot was, how unlucky you are, how you're terrible, that is when you start to go down the negative death spiral mentally. We have to avoid the negative death spiral by understanding every shot is just one little bubble of a process. Boop, pop the bubble, move to the next ball, start the bubble. Grow it. Okay, once you've hit the shot, boop, pop the bubble. Just bubble, bubble, bubble. Between the bubbles, nothing. Nothing. Chit chat, look at the birds, look at the sky. Think about Page at Only Page. You even go on your phone, scroll through it, check out a few pics in bikinis, and think how much time and money you've wasted being a simp. And even with all that talking, I hit it on exactly the line I want, and it does almost the exact same thing I want. I'm doing this while talking, standing over the ball. When I'm standing over the ball, I don't think of anything. I can't talk. When I put the talking in, it disrupts my pre-shot routine and the shot doesn't come out as I want. So I'll show you a couple where I don't say anything. I'm tired of keeping this a secret, but Red Tiger is my rangefinder of choice. Not many people know this, and I haven't mentioned it much on the channel, but this is a money rangefinder. Link in the description. Less than 120 bucks, better value you will not find. Love it. Let's address the power of positive thinking. Rah rah, all I have to do is believe it and it will happen. That is somewhat true. But the main purpose of positive thinking is actually to just get out of the negative thinking. Because if you start at a negative thinking point of view, what do you think you're going to do? Right? If I stand here and I have this layup shot and all I can think about is chunking it in the water, a negative outcome, what am I going to do? If I think about how bad I am at golf, how I'm a duffer, how I'm a fluffer, I wake up in the morning and I should have just stayed in bed instead of coming to play golf, how am I going to see the rest of the round? How am I going to see my next shot with that negative viewpoint? By starting at a positive outlook, you create better outcomes by seeing more opportunities. That's the only thing about positive thinking, is that you just don't be negative. That's it. There's no special thing. Like if I have this shot over here and I've got 270 yards to the hole, all I think of is my process. I am good enough to have the process, which is why I created the process. When I take my club and I've assessed everything and I hit my shot, I believe I'm good enough to hit the shot instead of thinking I'm shit and I'm going to dump it in the water. So I take my 7-iron and I just whack it to the right of this tree and hopefully leave myself a sandwich into the green. Now, if I came here and thought I'm going to screw it up, what am I going to do? But if I come here with a positive outlook, if I screw it up, I take it to the next shot and do the positive outlook there too, despite the negative result. Stinky Winky, the lewd system is part of the mental game. The lewd system starts with looking at the lie of the golf ball. The lie is on the zoysia, it's sitting nicely in the fairway. Planning your shot, we need to use the lewd system. It's all in your head. Lie, assess the lie of the golf ball. Everywhere on the course, how is the ball lying? Here we're in the fairway, we're on a patch of zoysia amongst the crabgrass. Absolutely money, sitting perfectly. Elevation, flat. If you hit uphill, you have to hit more club, downhill, less club. Wind, the wind is into me directly, about 1 club. So the distance is the final thing we work out, and that means we have to take into account those other factors. 125, I'm hitting a pitching wedge instead of a 48 degree, into the wind, to the back of the green, easy. There we go, absolutely money ski. Okay, let's go. One of the best things you can do for your mental game is get more sleep and put yourself in a position to make better decisions. Understand yourself so that you know when you are in the best state to make good decisions, when you're well rested, when you've eaten something good, when you eat something bad, what happens, and avoid the bad things and do more of the good things, especially sleep. When you're sleepy, you make worse decisions and you get more emotional. In my experience, that's what I do. Understanding yourself is a superpower in the mental game. Wow, this thing is running a lot, they're running a lot faster than what they look, because they've been cored, and so we need to take that and adapt it. And when I'm sleepy, like I am actually today, I have to accept that maybe my decision making is going to be poor. So that's a 3-putt, and it's probably because when I'm tired, my speed control goes completely out the window. So I need to think to myself, okay, I'm sleepy, let's just focus a bit more on speed control for this round and really try and make a better decision, because I'm probably going to make shitty decisions. A humongous barrier to your best golf is a swing mechanic in your mind on the golf course. You get 2 kind of swing mechanics. One that you actually got from a pro and he's teaching you, and the second one is one you got from YouTube that you created and imagined yourself, completely irrelevant to you, and you've incorporated to your thinking. Both of them are destructive to your game. A good pro will tell you not to think about the mechanic on the golf course. He'll make you focus on it during your lessons and your practice on the range. When you come to the course, I bet a pro will tell you to have just a very vague swing thought. Something about rhythm, something very vague, not too specific about a position or single piece takeaway, some nonsense. It'll be low and slow, something like that. And then the other one is one you got from YouTube that's completely irrelevant to you, that you've imagined because you were trying to diagnose yourself. That is the most destructive one. Because whatever you're doing with a mechanic, it's getting in the way of the free flow of your swing to just hit the ball, clipping the turf, right? Like as Sean Clemens says, you're just trying to clip the daisy. You're trying to cut the daisy and let the ball get in the way and focus on your target. The target is what we respond to. If we don't have a target in our mind and we've got this weird thing that we've created, you're going to get in all kind of a tangle. So clear that mind. The think and play box and focusing on your target before you hit your ball. The think and play box and the obsession with your target in the play area is the very best way to get rid of these swing thoughts. When you have a mechanical thought, try to focus on something far in the distance that you're going to swing to. The way you play golf is the way you live your life. If you rush in real life, you rush on the golf course. If you're deliberate in real life, you're deliberate on a golf course. And one of the biggest ones I see is buyer's remorse. People bring their buyer's remorse from real life to the golf course. You'll find buyer's remorse often manifest on the golf course in people who are looking for an aesthetic swing. And then when they hit shitty shots, because they're focusing on the swing, they can blame it on their swing. As well as when they hit a shot, they always pick the shot that is not going to be pulled off most of the time instead of the shot they have in the arsenal. They have both of them in their mind, and instead of picking the one they know is going to work, they pick a different one and then regret that decision. I see it all the time when I go with people on the golf course to help them around the golf course. I need to move up the second shot, the second ball shot, to the first slot. And most of the time it's because they're picking a shot that they're self-sabotaging, because they want to have something to regret. They want to have buyer's remorse. The same people who do that are the ones who pick out 2 models of television, research them for 6 months, go buy the one, and then return it a week later to get the other one because they made a bad decision. That's buyer's remorse. So however you're living your life, you need to take that outside of golf, fix it, and bring it to the golf course. You're not suddenly going to change your golf game if you don't change the way you think outside of the golf course. So golf is not just a separate hobby. It's actually an extension of how you think and feel outside of the golf course. You've seen it when you have a bad week, you have a tough time with your family, you've got money problems, whatever's happening, you bring the stress to the golf course. Whatever you do in real life, you're going to do it here. The reason I know this is not because I'm particularly qualified or because I'm trying to give you some pop psychology. It's from my experience. I play golf with hundreds of people, multiple handicap levels, and every single time, once you get to know them in the clubhouse, after golf, you see they're the exact same kind of person. I'm a rusher in real life, and I can rush my golf sometimes, and I like to play fast. What I have to do is try not slow down, but just slightly be a bit more mindful. And being more mindful and conscious in my golf shot, I can still play fast, but I won't regret it by just rushing through it to get it over with. That's why I can bash in 3-footers, 4-footers and 2-footers without thinking much, because I have a belief that I am the best at it in the entire world. Is it true? Maybe not. Is it a delusion? Maybe it is. But I use delusions to increase my self-belief and my confidentiality in a shot. Another delusion I like to use is I know that a pro is 50% from 8 feet. So if I miss an 8-footer, I know that increases the chance of me making the next one. I use the delusion to create a positive environment for my mind. What must I do? Must I say, oh, that's a gambler's fallacy, that's not really how the odds work? Of course not, because then I'm actually creating a negative mindset. I use delusions to create fake confidentiality. You can take delusions and create negatives, and you can create positive. Delusion that you are PGA Tour Pro and hit PGA Tour Pro shots is a bit too much, because when you hit a bad shot, you get into the negative death spiral. The delusion you can use is that you can get up and down from everywhere. That is something that's gonna actually help you. Instead of trying to hit it to 6 feet with your 6-iron, now when you miss the green, you say, it doesn't matter. I get up and down from everywhere. I'm the best short game player in the world. And these are the kind of things that can push you toward scoring lower, feeling better, making better decisions. One of the nastiest mental habits is projection. When you find yourself projecting something onto someone you don't know, or feeling something about that person, think about why that's doing that to you, and then find out where that comes from. This is one of the fundamental things I've had to work on to actually improve my way of thinking in golf and anywhere, is to just not immediately jump to a conclusion based on my inner workings. Because I have been influenced by all kinds of negative feedback from school, from parents, from relatives, from friends, and immediately you're like, create an opinion from nothing. You have to wait, let it settle, keep quiet, hold your tongue, and just wait a little bit. When you find yourself doing that, just find yourself as it happens, catch yourself. Don't say anything, stop, sit with the thought, and wonder, why have I done that? The reason I had to stop projecting my inner workings onto other people is it stops progress, because somebody may tell you something, somebody may advise you something, somebody may give you the secret to eternal life, but you will reject it because of your inner workings. You will reject it because of your preconceived notions. And where do they come from? We haven't been standing guard at the entrance of our mind for very long, because we are influenced all the time by media, by friends, by teachers, by losers who all have these inner projections they give onto other people and have no self-awareness. When you can start improving this area of your life, understanding where your perceptions come from, where your opinions come from, which loser put a loser attitude into you, you can begin to change it. But it takes a lot of time. And it's something very difficult to confront. It's like a nerve being pinched right here in your mouth when they put a drill on your tooth and you don't want it, you move away. But this is very powerful, to stop projecting onto other people your inner workings. People you don't know, people giving you great advice. Could change your life, but you're rejecting it because of your inner workings. Improve it by understanding where it comes from. And then once you understand where it comes from and you begin to change it, stand guard at the entrance of your mind. Stop listening to people who are bringing you down. Stop listening to people who have their own projections, because they're doing it to you. You're taking it on. You can't unhear things. You can't unsee things. Avoid it and reset. This is a very, very powerful thing. It took me many years to do this, and it's changed my life, because now I think what I want to think. I don't think what other people want to think, having my opinions assigned to me, looking like a fool, jumping to conclusions. Instead, taking time to consider, think, change my mind on things. What I love about this video is that it went completely off the rails. I don't even know how many tips I've given you, but I've given you everything. And the final one I'm going to give you is to align your expectations with your preparations. You come to the golf course, have you prepared for the expectation you have of how you're going to play? If you haven't been to the range, you haven't done your drills, you haven't worked on your short game, and you want to come and win the Saturday competition, what are you thinking about? You haven't practiced. Then when you hit bad shots, you start to get negative, down, you start to see everything as bad, you suck, you shouldn't have got out of bed in the morning. You have to align the expectation of what you're going to do today with what you've done before. If you haven't played for a month, hey, try go hit 5 or 10 good shots. That's an expectation you can have. Oh, you want to go hang out with your friends, have a chit chat, have a couple beers? Do that, but don't expect to be a great player once you've had 6 or 7 beers on the golf course. Align your expectations with your preparations. If you want to be a state player, you want to be an elite golfer, have you been to the range twice this week? Have you worked on your chipping and putting for 6 hours this week? That's what you got to do. Do you want to play like a PGA Tour pro? 20 years, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week working on your game. Then you can have the expectations of a PGA Tour pro. Until then, I don't like the saying, you're not good enough to be that angry. What I like to say is, you don't deserve to be that frustrated. When you put in a lot of work, you can be frustrated. But by that time, you won't be, because you would have reached another level, transcendental mental state. 142, pitching wedge. We're going to assess the lie, sitting down a little bit in the I don't even know what that is now. I think that might be Bermuda. That's a wispy Bermuda. Tightish lie, uphill, 142. We're going to hit the pitching wedge. And I feel like on this lie, should go pretty straight, 142. I think I'm going to put this to about 3 feet, starting it at that tree, hopefully pull it a bit left. Well, not hopefully, because I know my shot shape and shot pattern is to pull left. Absolutely, just what I drew up. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Well, we put it to 5 feet instead of 3. Money. Now the reason I love this video going off the rails like this is that it's so meta. I'm trying to actually work on in my personal life organization. I'm very disorganized, very messy. I'm trying to work on that part of my mental state. And look how the video turned out. I just dumped everything on you instead of sticking to my system. And that is what I love. I love irony, I love malapropisms, and I love puns, dad jokes. That's how you do it mental game wise. Accept yourself, learn about yourself, and if you want to learn even further about how to improve your mental game deeper than this, with one single self-image preparation improvement, check out this video right over here. Like an absolute boss.